Hi guys, welcome to the Cosmopolitan Allure channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is Kia and this is going to be our June look for the birthday gemstone series. This month is for the gemstone pearl. So if you have a birthday in June, happy birthday. I hope you had or will have a wonderful day. I am wishing you happiness, love, and health your way. And if you like this look, stay tuned. I think this is my favorite look by far. Stay tuned. So good morning. We're going to start with the Love Yourself Lip Oil for the lips today. And moving right along for primer, we'll be using the Yves Saint Laurent Touche Éclat primer, and I have the color gold. And I'll mostly be using mostly old products that I've used in all of my videos today. The only thing different is that I'm feeling heavy-handed today, so I want to use a heavy foundation. I want to use some heavy contouring today. I don't know, I really want a sculpted face today. Most of the time, you know, my channel is more so about using lighter products to have a glowing complexion and, you know, nothing super heavy, so to speak. But today I want a heavy base look. Our eyeshadow today is for the month of June. So, and they chose a pink pearlescent color. Even though June is pearl, so they did like more of a pink pearl type situation. And as usual, we're just gonna let this soak in momentarily. So I'll talk to you. So because they chose pink, pink is one of my go-to colors for whenever I want to do something very quick on the face. It gives me a nice flush of color. Typically, it's not over the top. It's relatively neutral, and you can make it very simple, work appropriate, or you can play it up and make it more bold and exciting depending on which end of the spectrum you go for pink. You have like your soft baby pinks, pastel pinks, and then you have your bold fuchsia and hot pink colors. So you have everything from the light pink to the heavy deep fuchsia pinks and the mauves in the middle. So you can really do whatever you want to with shades of pink. So since it's a more pink pearlescent color, it's going to be a softer look because of the colors that they have in the palette. But I don't know, I just woke up and I felt like, oh, I want to do heavier makeup today. I want to do, you know, a heavy contour look. I want to wear a heavier foundation today. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all have days and wake up in different moods, and that's just how I'm feeling today. So I'm excited to see how this is going to come out because I typically don't do heavy makeup. So we shall see. So the foundation I'll be using today is the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Luminous Matte. So this is her newest, well, one of her newer releases, a reformulation of the old Faux Filter foundation. And in this one, I'm in the color Biscotti 405 Neutral. And one thing I will say is that I had a relatively hard time trying to find my color in this foundation because in the old formula, I was between brown sugar and macchiato, I believe. I'm going to use my Love Is foundation, It Cosmetics foundation brush, and I just squeezed 2 pumps on there. And I don't know, it was really hard for me to find a match because now I feel like this is too light. So I essentially bought 3 different foundation colors from this. So I bought this originally in Churro, I think. So yeah, I think this is too light for me now. It's already on my face. But that was before I had went outside and got some sun, so I probably should have used that color instead of this one because, well, it'll match my neck. But so those colors at the time were too dark. And no, yeah, Churro, because they added a new color. So brown sugar, and I think Churro is right after brown sugar, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so it was too dark, and I was like, well, this is too dark. It's obvious, but I wanted to stay in the neutral because the golden, I want to say brown sugar is golden. I had to keep going down, and you know, because of COVID, I couldn't go in and try to get like a color match. So in her foundation stick, I got toffee because all of the people that I follow on YouTube were using the color toffee. So I was like, okay, toffee will probably match better. So I got toffee in the foundation stick that she has. And I was just like, this still isn't a match. It's too, excuse me, it's too dark. And I was afraid to go down. So I think that was like 415 and 420, I think. And I was like, well, I feel like Biscotti is going to be too light. And so I was like, well, I'm going to just bite the bullet and get it because Sephora was having a sale. And I was like, well, I'll just get it while Sephora's having a sale so it won't be so much money that I spent out of pocket for this foundation. And so I was like, I'm going to try Biscotti. And Biscotti was the perfect match at the time. So I didn't even think about having a tan or anything like that. But I feel very casket ready, and it was already on my face and I didn't want to take it off. But this is a good color for me in the winter. I don't even know where Churro is. And when I was getting myself together today, I thought about it and I was like, no, I don't think the color match will be too distinct. So, but I also want to let you guys know that I am behind a ring light. So that's going to make it appear a little bit lighter than what it is. But I also wanted to experiment with this foundation because I had only used the Huda Beauty primer up under it. And I didn't quite like the finish of the foundation with that particular primer. I was using the jelly primer. And I like the jelly primer. It's actually hydrating on my skin. But up under this foundation, I don't know if because this is like a full coverage foundation and it's a reformulation, so it still has the same coverage as the original. They just removed the scent. Instead of it being a super matte as the original was, it's a luminous matte, so it's kind of got like a satin finish. It's still relatively matte, but you have a more skin-like finish rather than it being like a super flat matte. So I like this formula, but I would notice with the jelly primer, I felt like I could see texture on my skin. Like the foundation was so thick, it's almost like I needed a more silicone primer to go in and smooth out my base some, because like I said, I felt like I could see all of my imperfections up under it, and I wasn't here for that. So that's why today I used the Touche Cloth primer, because I wanted to have a more silicone feeling primer up under to see if I would like the texture of the foundation better. And I must say, looking in the mirror, in the camera, I do like the finish much, much better. I don't feel like I can see texture as much on my skin as I could before. It looks like a smoother application. So that's probably the primer I will opt for when I wear this foundation. And I think for people, a lot of times when you wear a foundation, you can get a little bit thrown off by things because of the primer that you use up under it, or if you don't use a primer. So I'm going to go in and do my eyebrows today. I'm going to use my regular Fenty Beauty MVP brow in black brown. And I'm doing mine first before I do my concealer because, like I said, I'm feeling a little bit extra about stuff today. So I kind of want to shape my eyebrows, put in a little bit more work than what I usually do today. So, but what was I saying? I was talking about texture. Trying to think about what I was just talking about. Lost my train of thought. But yeah, your primer can make a massive difference on how your foundation will come out on your face depending on what your necessity is. I know for me, my skin is typically on the drier side. So I like more hydrating. I was about to say Hydro Grip primer, but I like more hydrating primers because I know my skin is dry. So I typically stay away from primers that are marketed as mattifying because I don't have an issue with oily skin, so to speak. My skin, as I've gotten older, I feel like it's more combination skin, where initially I've always been dry, but I've noticed that I start to have more oils in my T-zone the older that I get. But yeah, I typically don't use mattifying primers because my oil distribution within my face is not bad to the point where I need to use a mattifying primer. Makeup is going to wear throughout the day. That's just a reality of the situation. So, you know, by hour 5, and most of the time I'm not in makeup for more than 10 hours. I will go to work, which is an 8-hour day, and typically go home right after work. So I don't spend a significant amount of time, even like on the weekends when I go out to eat or go out for a function. Most of the time I'm not in my makeup for more than 5 hours. So that's just me being realistic. So as long as a foundation is able to hold itself for 8 hours, that's enough. Really, 5 hours is good enough for me because, like I said, I typically don't wear like full coverage foundation meant to be like a full coverage. I go for light or medium coverage, but it's always good to have a full coverage, one full coverage foundation in your arsenal for those days where you feel, you know. And I want to have a more boxy look for my eyebrows. So I'm just going in with the pencil here to give me that look. And I think I went out a little bit too far, but that's fine. I'll just clean it up with my brush. So this is one of the reasons I don't do a whole lot to my eyebrows, because it becomes chaos very, very quickly. Just utter chaos. And so I'm going to use my Kimchi Chic Beauty The Most Concealer in Sand. Yes. To clean up my eyebrows. And this has really become like a favorite concealer of mine. I really enjoy how it melts into my skin. I never have any issues really with this concealer. It melts into my skin like a dream. Like, I really, really love that. and I think this was a good color match for me. And since they're online, they're not in the stores that I know of. So if you have seen them in Ulta and so I'm just going in and kind of cutting through that shape that I did before. I had went way too far out. If you see them, comment below if you see them in the store. As I know of, they're only online right now, but if you see them in the store, let me know. And so I'm just going to use this BH Cosmetics. It was a eyeshadow brush in one of their kits. And typically, it's very rare that I buy individual brushes from BH Cosmetics. I typically just go ahead and buy a set, because the brushes are really good quality and they're relatively inexpensive. Like, you can get a set of 10 or 12 brushes for about $15 to $20. So to me, rather than paying like $2 for an individual brush, I'd just rather pay for a whole set and get multiple brushes for $15. And I mean, you know, if funds are tight, definitely buy what you need. But brushes to me is one of the few things that you can never have too many of, because especially in general, most people do not clean their brushes. I make a point to clean my brushes just because I like clean brushes. So that's really important to me. But there are times when I'm like, I just wish I had another brush and I did not have to clean them. I definitely have those moments. So I'm just taking the concealer and going in and cleaning up around my eyebrow to try to make my line as sharp as possible for me. Now for me, I don't like having that harsh, sharp line like a lot of people do. I still like my eyebrows to look natural and diffused. I don't like that harsh line. So some people like really super clean, crisp eyebrows. That's not me. But you can definitely use concealer to achieve that look. If you want a more arched eyebrow, just apply the concealer over the hairs that you're trying to conceal. Now, this is my first time using this concealer for eyebrows. So on my face, I love it. I think it might be just a little bit, too light. And when I say not the color, but it might not be heavy enough to conceal those hairs that you want to conceal up under to give it that really clean look. But again, I only applied a little bit. So, but I still like this color. I don't feel like it's so light that it looks out of place. I can still definitely see that I have concealer around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my foundation brush and go over this, because I don't like having that that highlighted area around my brows. A lot of people like it. I don't. So I'm just going to go in and clean that up a little bit. So all I'm doing is really just squeezing the brush, or excuse me, squeezing the tube and getting a little bit more concealer, because I want to go in and clean up this little arch area here and make it a little bit cleaner. I'm not trying to get it super neat, but I also want to see how much coverage this concealer can give. Does a pretty good job. So when you haven't, you know, gotten threaded or waxed or plucked your eyebrows and you want to have more of an arch, you can use concealer to go in and cover up whatever hairs you have in your little arch area to give the appearance of a cleaner brow. So it does look like you can get the arch that you're looking for with this concealer. It does look like it has the coverage power. Like I said, since I'm usually not heavy-handed with concealer, to the point in using it in this manner with my eyebrows. I didn't know exactly how full coverage it can go, but it looks like it can go pretty full coverage. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean off any of the excess that I had on my brush. And now I'm just going in and essentially trying to blend this in and clean it up. All right. And for me, this is probably, if you've tuned in to my channel previously, you know that I don't do this much work on my eyebrows usually, but because I wanted a specific shape today, I'm putting more effort into my eyebrows than what I typically do. So to get this square shape, I'm just going in and filling it in over there. And this is one of the reasons I like the Fenty Beauty pencil, is because it's not a heavy pencil. So you have to really work with it to build up the deepness of color that you want. And I have black hair, like jet black #1 hair, but I don't use that color in my eyebrows because I like my eyebrows to look more natural. So I use black, brown, or typically whatever the second to last color is, or depending on how many shades they have, I might use like the third to last color, because I just don't like harsh eyebrows. That's just never been something that I've been a fan of. So, but yeah, all I'm doing is just going in, doing this shape that I want today, and trying to brush my hairs accordingly. And anytime you put in too much product, you can always use a spoolie to go in and evenly distribute that product. And one of the things that I like is because this pencil is so soft, I can go in and reapply or take away as much product as I need to without, you know, messing anything up. And so I can really just go in with my finger and rub away the extra that I don't need. There we go. And then go back and add as necessary. So for some people, I know they'll say, oh, that color is too soft. It doesn't give me the, you know, harshness that I want. But like I said, I don't like harsh lines. So it works for me in how I want to do my eyebrows. And so again, I'm just going to go in with my foundation brush and use the corner of the brush and just kind of tap around my eyebrow area to cover up that concealer that we use. And sometimes I use foundation, and because I used the brush today, I just opted to stay with concealer because I don't have a sponge out. If I had a sponge, it would definitely help to get around these areas. But like I said, since I used the brush today, I'm just going to use what I have. So I'm just taking it and going up under that area and trying to reduce the highlight or concealer effect around here. And it's not too bad up under my eyes because you'll be, you know, doing other stuff, eyeshadow and whatnot up under there, but I still typically don't bring eyeshadow all the way up under my eyebrows like that anymore. So, but yeah, over the top, you can definitely see. So they're a little bit darker than usual, more square, but that's what I was going for today. All right, so continuing with concealer, I'm just going to go up under my eyes. And I'm going to have a little bit more concealer than what I usually have. because I had squeezed more out to do my eyebrows. I'm just going to do a little bit right in here. And you can definitely tell the changes in your skin as you age. That's one thing I can definitely say is, you know, right around my mouth area. Other than just having minimal discoloration, just as a person of color, you have a lot more discoloration in your face in general. I'm going to be using my Sonia Kashuk concealer brush, excuse me. I can definitely tell that I'm having more lines in my face than I used to when I was younger, especially around my mouth area. I don't see too many around my nose or eyes or anything like that, but I am starting to see that my smile lines are becoming more and more prominent, which I'm okay with. I'm glad to be living in order to get these age lines. So, you know, that's not a complaint. That's just an observation. But in order to counteract those, I do press in a bit of concealer right in this area to try to, you know, control that. So, and I'm using all brushes today. I did not feel like using a sponge, and sponges are my preferred way, but brushes are fine too. And I will switch back and forth depending on how I feel. But I also don't want to get out of the habit of being able to use a brush. So I do try to switch back and forth on using my applicators, because what happens, you know, if for some reason I lose my sponge, or my sponge gets damaged, or, you know, Midori takes one of my sponges and starts using it as a toy, which she has actually done in the past. I had washed them and put them on the counter, and one of the sponges fell on the floor in the middle of the night, and Midori just kicked it around. If she was having the time of her life, she thought, Midori's my cat. She was having the time of her life, and she was just out running around. Wait, why is Midori doing so much so late? And she had found a new toy, one of my sponges. So yeah, it's important to, I think it's important to know how to use both and just have a preference of which one you like to use. And I also kind of think the products that you use also work. So all products are supposed to be made to use interchangeably between a brush or a sponge. That's supposed to be on personal preference. But I do think some products work better with certain tools. So to me, I think I like using this Huda Beauty foundation more with a brush than I do with a sponge. And that's just me personally. And a sponge is supposed to give you sheerer application. So maybe because I was looking for full coverage, I just like how the brush applied it better. Again, I used a different primer this time as well, but for me, I do like the application better with a brush. And as always, I stipple into the skin, so I think that could also make a difference as to why I like it a little bit more, my full coverage foundations, because before, when I was using them, I would swipe, because I started using brushes first before I even started using sponges. I was like, yeah, I want to use a sponge. I don't know how to use a sponge. And then one day I was like, just try a sponge, girl. Just try it. Just try it. And so I did, and I just stopped using brushes. But yeah, so, you know, as I've aged, I go back and forth in between. Sometimes I use both. It just depends on the mood that I'm in. So I can definitely tell I'm getting more coverage because so a tip is to let your concealer dry down a little bit, not completely dry where you can't spread it, but to dry down some. And I can definitely see I'm getting more coverage because this is super light up under my eyes, and it just looks extremely light. So I feel like even in my concealer, I could go up one shade for the summertime because this is a little bit lighter and brighter than I actually prefer. So I'll definitely have some dimension this time. And I've let my concealer dry down before, but I had considerably more than what I usually press into my skin on the little applicator today. So I'm getting to see like the true color payoff this time. And I've added heavier application in other videos, but I still don't feel like it was this light. So every time you use a product and use it with different products up under the base, and again, like my foundation is much lighter this time, so I think you get to see the same product work in various different ways depending on the basis that you put it on, depending on if you've gotten a tan, or all types of situations. They can change how makeup looks. So makeup is really like an experimentation of learning what you like, adjusting what you don't like, you know. So I'm going to use for contour, I'm going to use the Huda Beauty Tan Tour in the color medium, which is a cream contour color. So I haven't used this in a long time, and I remember the last time I used it, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so much. So it's been a very, very, very long time. This is what the color looks like. And I'm just going to be using my Real Techniques. This is an eyeshadow brush, but I actually use it as a nose contour. And I'm starting with the nose contour because, like I said, I haven't used this product in a while. So I'm trying to refamiliarize myself with it before I go all over my face. But one of the things I do remember is that you don't have to use a lot to get a lot of coverage at all. And this was just me barely tapping into into the product. So I just wiped off the excess, and literally I'm just going to start brushing this in. I'm going to be really contoured today. That's what I said I was looking for. So, and I probably honestly still have too much on my brush. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm just going to blend this in. See how blended I can get this to be. And I think this is one of the reasons I started liking sponges better, is because for blending, I feel like I have better control when it comes to blending. I feel like a sponge will do a better job at blending. It just doesn't take as long with a brush. I feel like you have to work a little bit harder. There we go. A little bit harder to blend everything out so you don't have such harsh lines. Where with a sponge, I feel like it doesn't take as long to get to this point. And so we can see it's definitely blending out, but I just feel like it's faster with a sponge. And so for this video, I will probably speed through it just because I don't want my video to be more than an hour and a half. I know for a lot of people, an hour is a lot. One of my friends, she was like, hey, do you have any makeup recommendations? And I was like, you haven't watched any of my YouTube videos, have you? And she was like, well, you know, I've just been busy. I was like, it's too long for her. She was like, yeah, they are too long for me. And, you know, I know for some people, long videos, they like having the little short 20-minute videos or 30-minute videos, and that's fine, but it's not real in a sense. So most of the time, unless they market the video as like a 20-minute face or a 5-minute face, it takes them 1 to 2 hours to do whatever it is that they're doing on the screen. It's just that they edit the video down to be 20 minutes. So when you're trying to do your makeup and it doesn't come out exactly how it looks on the screen, it's because it took them longer than that to do what they did. It's been edited out. And for me, I don't want to edit out anything. All right, so I'm going to be using my Mary Kay cheek brush, which I actually really like, to blend out the Tantour. But I don't want to falsely give any of you hope that I'm sitting here for 20 minutes and got my face to look like that, because that's not the case. So most of my videos are not heavily edited. And when I say heavily edited, like if I'm stumbling over words or something like that, I edit it out. But as far as like the content itself is me like blending and application and all of that, that stuff is not edited out. So it sits, however long this video is how long it has pretty much taken me to achieve this look on my face. Because with time, you will definitely get faster. And because I talk through my videos, they're longer than they would be. Yes, they're longer than what they would be if I was doing my own makeup. So an hour and 30 minutes would probably be 45 minutes of me just doing my makeup without commentary. But, you know, as part of doing a tutorial or showing how I'm doing something, I think talking through it in the application is good. So, and as you can see, I got a little heavy-handed here on this side. So I'm just going to take this brush and buff upwards. Until it disappears. So that's one of the things I really do like about the Tantour, is that it's soft enough to buff out. It's not like a harsh, well, it's definitely a color, excuse me, a big, you do get color payoff from very little product. So if you run out of Tantour, you must use this every day, 3 times a day, or I don't know, or you're just heavy-handed. But, you know, it will take me years. This will expire before I actually get finished using it. And this is old, so I probably actually need to buy a new one. But I've only used this one. This might be my 3rd or 4th time using this product, because I wasn't as comfortable using a cream to do contour or bronzer at all. I just felt like I would have preferred it to be a powder, just because that's what I'm more comfortable with. But it's not because the product itself is hard to use, if that makes any sense. Most of the times we're creatures of habit. So when we encounter something new, a lot of times it's like, I don't know how I feel about that. And it's not that we don't like the product, it's more so that we're not comfortable using the product. So I'm just contouring my jaw, trying to cut off some of this fluffiness. Giving me a more defined jaw. And you can see that difference just from looking directly, that it cuts off. And I'm essentially learning how to use this product as I go, because like I said, I haven't used it that much myself. So, but that's the beauty of makeup. You apply and you learn and do your best to get better at things. And I want more of a little pouty lip today. So I'm just doing a little bit of contouring up under my lip here. That'll give me the appearance of having some juicier, fluffier lips. Right up under there. And I can still see, you know, a little bit of a harsh line here. So I'm just gonna buff that out some so it's not as harsh. And if you want to, you can take powder, and I forgot to set my eyes. You can take powder to go in and set right up under. Oh goodness. I'm over here making a mess trying to put the top back on. So I had Kunafa out, the Huda Beauty loose baking and setting powder in the color Kunafa, which is the yellow color. And I'm just gonna take the BH Cosmetics and It's My Ray Ray collaboration. This is the number 4 brush, so it's kind of like a little flat brush. And I just took whatever was in the top of the powder, and I'm just going to press that in up under my eye. I completely forgot to do this. But this just helps because this powder is yellow, and I mean it is yellow. Whenever I have a powder that's per se, a concealer that is a little bit lighter than what I prefer, I can go in with a yellow colored powder and give myself some of that color back, so it won't be so stark different or so white up under my eye, and then just go in and set. And I think that looks a lot more natural and better for me than the color was before. So I probably, like I said, can stand to go up one more shade in the concealer. But I like this color too. It works for me in the winter time. And I just love, like, if you can see that airbrushed effect just that quick right up under my eye. I feel like my eye looks transformed in powder. And I'm just going in setting the areas where I had and this button today, my button is very prominent on my nose today from how I contoured. I'm just gonna press it in around my mouth. And this would be the same thing I would do with a sponge. I'm just doing it with a brush today. And so as you can see, that's also going in and softening up that this contour area here. And if you feel like, oh, I got too much on my brush, or I got some of the other color, the contour on the brush, just flip the brush over. So I'm a very one-sided brush type person. So if I'm doing something with my brush, I typically only use one side of the brush. So if I ever need to go back in and try to fix something, or the brush got muddy, the other side of the brush is still available for me to use, so I don't have to go to a completely different brush. So yep, I think that's my biggest thing between using sponges and brushes, is that I just feel like to blend, you have to do a little bit more work. There we go. So you can definitely see the warm up that I have going on my face. Now I'm going to take the Kosas Cloud Set in the color Pillowy, and I'm just going to set my whole face. So I'm just going to use my big fluffy Fenty Beauty, what is this, the 170 setting brush, and go over my whole face with this to bring everything together. And literally I'm just going to swirl it around. And I really actually love this setting powder because it goes in and diffuses everything very, very well. It doesn't disturb any of my other products up under it. And it just goes over like a nice halo or dusting effect. I really feel like it gives me an airbrushed effect and ties everything together. All right. And then today, as usual, I'm going to be using my Beauty Bakery Sweet Grace Setting Spray. Since I don't have a sponge, I'm just going to have to spray it directly on my face. And just fan it until it melts into the skin. So for this part, I did edit it out because I didn't want like minutes of me sitting here fanning myself on the screen. So I did edit some time out just to allow for it to dry down properly. We will be using the Fenty Beauty eyeshadow primer. And I make sure that I try to generously apply oil over my eyelid and eye area. And I'm going all the way up to my brow bone today. I don't know, something is just telling me to do it. Typically, I wouldn't go up that high, but that's what my gut is telling me to do, so I'm going to follow my gut. And so, the palette for the month of June is the Pearl BH Cosmetics palette. And this is what she looks like. So, this is pretty much a very everyday palette. We of course have Pearl right here, and the colors are very I don't want to say neutral because they're leaning more on the warm side to me, but this would be a palette that you could use every day. So the Pearl color as usual, I'm gonna swatch. So the birthstone color, okay, so it does have a pink shift to it, but it's not as prominent. When I saw the pictures, I was like, oh, this is pink. And then this color is Silly. And as usual, I'm gonna swatch just because this helps me to get an idea. I'm gonna use this middle color is Sensitive. So it gives me an idea of what the colors will look like when I'm doing my eyeshadow. Then Popular. Visionary. Oop. Bossy. And I don't know if these colors are actually named appropriately. I don't know anybody who has a June birthday. And then Spontaneous. Oh, okay. All right, so this is the color palette for the month of June. So these are pretty much kind of like everyday colors that I would use. So I'm just gonna freestyle it today. Usually I try to think of a color, think of a look of how I want to use, but think of a look of how I want to use. I try to kind of think about how I want to use the colors first, but I'm just going to use this like an everyday palette because these are colors I would kind of be drawn to in general. So I'm going to use my Colored Rain mini blending brush, and I'm going to go into the color Sensitive here. And I'm just going to put that in my crease. I feel like the colors from this palette are pretty pigmented. I feel like they gave off good color payoff in their swipes for this particular month. This palette is $9, so and if you order it on the 1st, typically you get free shipping and handling. So on the 1st, I always order my palettes and get free shipping. So that's just something to know if you're interested in these palettes. The only thing about it is that you don't know what the palette of the month is going to be until the 1st of the month. So you don't get like a preview of the palette unless you're one of their models for it. So let's see. I actually really like that color quite a bit. I think I'm actually going to put some of that on my lid. So I'm just going in with the round shadow brush from, and I'm going to put that on my lid too. And this is the difference between your brushes, you guys. So the round shader brush definitely picked up more product than the mini blending brush. And rightly so, it's a blending brush. So it's not meant to pick up color to be able to pack it on the eyelid like a shader brush is. Shader brushes are meant to pick up the color and distribute it. Oh, I quite like this already. I was gonna add a darker color, but a part of me doesn't want to add any dark colors on it. All right. I actually quite like this. Okay. So my mind is going a mile a minute right now because what I was going to do, I'm changing my mind in front of your face. So I'm actually going to keep this shader brush and just tap the edge. And I'm going to go up under my waterline with this color too. All right. And then I'm just going to wipe this off. So I'm just taking my little BH Cosmetics brush sponge and wiping off this same brush. And I'm gonna go into the color Bossy. And I'm just gonna do the outer part of my waterline on top of what I've already applied, just to give it some dimension. And I'm going to do the outer third here. And I'm just gonna take this on my finger and press it on there. And for pearl, I think very elegant and delicate. So I actually don't think I want to use any of the deeper brown colors, which I was planning on using, but I actually really like this color Sensitive quite a bit. So clearly I just slathered it all over my whole eye. And then I'm gonna go into the color Silly, which was this gold color here, and put that in the middle. And blend that into the Bossy color. And I'm just going to take my brush and kind of blend that out. I don't want the colors to be super defined, but I do want to have a gradient effect. And then I'm going to go into the color Pearl and put that on the inner third. Okay. And I'm just going to take my brush and blend that into Silly. Picking up some more on my brush. And now that I've seen all of the colors side by side, I'm just gonna go in and try to make them a little bit heavier. I didn't want to put them on super heavy before because I wanted to actually see their color pay off side by side, because I didn't want the color to get lost in the sauce, which can actually happen when you have colors that are relatively similar. They can kind of get lost beside each other. So just for a heavier application, I'm using my finger. And as you've seen in my previous videos, you can also use setting spray on the brush to get the colors to pick up more. I'm just using my fingers today. That's what I feel like doing, so therefore I shall do that. All right. And then I'm just gonna go into Bossy right here. All right. And then I'm just going to use the small blending brush before I use the mini blending brush. And I'm just going to sweep over them into the crease. Just like that. All right. And then in this under eye part, I'm gonna go in with Pearl on the tip of my shader brush and then just fill in that first third. I really like the way the light is hitting that. And you can bring it up into your tear duct some. All right. And then I'm just going to pick up some of Silly, which was the gold color, and put that in the middle. And then some of Bossy, which was kind of like the copperish color. I guess bronze color would be more appropriate. So I really like the way that the color hits. I do think that it needs some dimension. So with the Precise Liner brush from Colored Rain, I'm gonna try Visionary first. This color right here, I think that's gonna be popular. It's gonna be a little bit too dark. And so I'm literally just gonna go close to my lash line here, just to give a little bit of some definition. And I'm not going in with my setting spray to make the line deep. And I'm just going to do a little wing here. Oh, I really like that. Just giving some very, very, very light definition. So none of the colors are going to be lost in the sauce, so to speak, but we do have something to break up the color just a little bit. And this is completely optional. I really, really like that. I think this is the perfect color brown, even though in the pan it's significantly darker and you would have to build it up to get that richness and that depth. I think when you're putting it on the eyelid like this, it's enough to be seen, but it doesn't overpower the other colors that you have on the eye, which I really like. And because these are so soft, if you want to go back in and you're like, oh, I lost too much color, you can definitely go back in and, you know, go over it and strengthen the base colors up under it if you feel like they got lost. And just, you know, put them back. Feel like this one eye is shining. My under eye area is shining a little bit more prominent on the other side. So let me add some more. There we go. So that's all I'm doing for the eye, I think. I think I'm just gonna put some I'm gonna go in with Glossy and then just kind of sweep that up under my brow up there. Just because for me, I can still see the concealer and I don't personally want to see that concealer. So I'm just taking a light washing of the Glossy color to put up there and cover up that concealer. And I just wiped off whatever excess I had on my brush. There we go. And as usual, I'm going to be using my Lily Lashes Power Liner. I'm going to use clear. So I'm going to use Lily Lashes in Royalty. I think they will be a little bit more appropriate. The other lashes, I want to have on lashes, but I don't want them to be so fluffy and domineering that all the work behind the lashes kind of gets lost in the sauce. So while I'm picking them up, the lash glue is drying down. Yeah, I think these will work much better. Yeah, I like those better. So one trick that I try to do is I try to hold my lashes like this so they get that curve that your eye naturally has. and then when you go to put them on, they're already, ooh, lash, you went on perfectly today. Why can't you do this every single time I apply lashes? So I really like that. I feel like, and the whiteness is just the eyeshadow that's on my regular lashes, but just that quick. You can still see my eyeshadow and the liner behind the lashes, and that's what I was looking for. The other lashes, they were too fluffy, too big for the eye. So everything that we did behind all the eyeshadow and blending and everything gets lost. Hi guys, so you'll hear me talk about this being a second pair of lashes. The first set was too big and covered all of the eyeshadow work. So I decided to go with this, and I cut out the footage because the video would be over an hour and 30 minutes. And I love the fact that there's a clear lash glue that's actually clear, because black can be harsh, especially on looks like this. If they would have had a brown liner, so I don't know if y'all can create brown power liner, but if you can, I would greatly appreciate that, because I probably would buy black just to have, but I probably would rarely use it. For the most part, I prefer using the clear, simply because I just don't like the harshness of black around my eye. And I generally don't wear black eyeliner. So, yep, so I'm just holding the lashes like this again, just squeezing them so they get more of the round shape like my eye has, and it just makes it a lot easier to place. I might have to use two hands on this side just because I'm right-handed, so I feel like everything on the right side of my face just goes a lot easier than anything on the left side of my face. I might actually have to get my tweezers for this side. Okay, there we go. So for my left side, I'm going to use my tweezers just because it's easier for me. And my eye started watering. So that's the only thing about it. Alright, you guys, so essentially you're seeing me struggle to put these lashes on because my eye had started watering and the lash glue or the adhesive had gotten wet. So instead of me just pausing and trying to let my eye stop watering and try to dry down the area, I was still trying to stick the lash on the glue and it would not stick because it was wet. So I just struggled and struggled. So I'm not going to show you all of the camera footage because it would literally just be me struggling to put on the lash that's not going to stick because the area is wet. I will come back later in the video and show after it had dried down, where it just went ahead and stuck. But essentially, yeah, that's what you're seeing right now. So everything is on, and so I'm just gonna take these, my little eyelash tweezers, and I'm gonna clasp. And what this does is essentially just secures the lash to your real lashes. So it helps to prevent any lifting or anything of that sort. And I'm just gonna do this side. All right. Okay. All right. And now I'm going to take my Maybelline Sky High mascara, and literally I'm just gonna go in on my lashes where they were white and blend them into these lashes. So that way you won't be able to differentiate where my lashes, the dusty ones, stop and don't blend into the falsies. And you can very well do this without falsies, but I just wanted some little extra oomph on mine. And I'm gonna do my bottom. And what I like is I can still see my little reddish brown wing. It's not the star of the show, but it is there. It didn't get lost in the sauce. All right. And then at this point, eyeliner is optional. I had picked out a flesh tone eyeliner to wear, excuse me, this was the beige power pencil from BH Cosmetics, but my eyelashes are watering so bad. In order not to mess up my makeup, I'm just gonna let that go today. So we're gonna do blush. So for blush today, we're going to be using the JUVIA'S Place, the Saharan Blush Palette 2. And I'm going to use the color, there's a lot of nice colors to pick from in here. This is what the colors look like. This is the color that I tend to use for everything, but I'm actually going to go with the color Lena down here. Ooh, that picked up a lot. Oh, that's really pretty. I've never used that color before. It gives me a nice flush of color. And this is by far my favorite color in the palette because it's a nice pinky pink, but it has gold reflex in it, so you can kind of get like a highlight color out of it. But because this palette is a little, it's warmer, but the colors are so delicate, I don't want to put on a blush that's going to take away from our eyes. You know, I don't want it to steal the show, which blush can easily do. All right. And then I'm just going to wipe off this same brush. And this was a BH Cosmetics 124 brush. I want to say I got this in a set 2. And I'm going to go back into our palette. And I'm just going to pick up the pearl color here, because it has some pink in it. And I'm just going to tap that on top of the blush. And then I'm going to wipe off the brush and then just pack it right in that area. So I'm not putting on any more color on it. I'm just trying to distribute what I already have on it. And I really like that nice little shift there. Put it on the nose. In the center where we did some highlight. My nose is extra shiny now, so I'm just gonna wipe off the excess and then just go in and try to distribute that. And then the oil has pretty much penetrated my lip, so I don't have any to wipe off today. So that means my lips were dry today. Ooh, too much. My nose is just a bit shiny right now. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of powder. And my eyes watering so bad, you can see my lashes lift and my eyes are just out of control watering today. I don't know what's going on, but my eyes are just watering very badly. So I just took some of the pillowy powder to go on the tip of my nose because it looks really shiny. And I don't know, it could just be I'm a little bit more oilier than usual today. I don't know. And then I'm still taking the pearl color and I'm doing it on my finger. And I like a Cupid's bow highlight. So I'm trying to go over my Cupid's bow delicately. I don't want it to be super noticeable because this is more on the cool side than it is the warm side. And it can easily run away with you in this area and make you look a little bit over the top, which is nothing wrong with it if that's what you like. But I just like a subtle highlight for me. I don't want it to be too much. All right, that's good enough for me. And the lip color that I'm going to be using today is the Fenty Beauty Mademoiselle colors, and I'm going to be using Up to No Good. So since everything else is pinky, I went with more of like a neutral color. And let me line my lips first. I'm going to be using the JUVIA'S Place lip liner in the color So Rare. And it's their Luxe lip liner. And I'm going to try to go heavy on my lip liner today. Because the lip color is very nude. So as you guys know, I'm more of a color person than nude. But with the eye look that we did today, I felt like a nude lip would be more appropriate. So I'm just going in heavier with the liner. My eyes are still watering, you guys. It's a wonder if I have any lashes left, that they haven't completely fallen off. Because it takes some time for your lashes to like settle down. They'll stick relatively immediately, but if it comes in contact with any moisture, probably before 10 minutes, they will lift. And that's what my eyes are doing. My eyes have been watering. They're still continuing to water. So in the inner tear duct area where, you know, the tears are going to come out, they're lifting there. So that's just a word to the wise. Like, I might have to reapply them after my eyes stop watering, but my eyes are just watering very badly today. All right. And as you can see, this is a real, it's kind of like a peachy nude. And I'm just going to blot. There we go. And that is the look, you guys. I didn't set my face yet. Let's do that. I quite like this. I quite like this a lot. I can really see the liner. I can see the contour. There we go. What do you guys think? I'll come back with the final look. All right, you guys. This is the final look for the June BH Cosmetics palette. Pearl for June. I really like the way it came out. Nice and elegant. Very demure, glowy, sophisticated. I really like this. I think these royalty lashes were a really good choice. You can still see the eyeshadow behind it. We still get our little wing. Nothing dramatic. Nice sculpted face. I'm excited about this look. I think this one might actually by far be my favorite. Simple, easy to recreate, but very elegant. Everyday wear, you can wear it, or you can wear this in the evening and still look absolutely gorgeous and stunning. So thank you so much for joining me today for this tutorial. If you like it, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the Cosmopolitan Allure channel. And any feedback, just let me know. If you love this content, please let me know so I can continue to film. Until the next time, have a fantastic day. And I didn't say happy birthday. Happy birthday to all of my June babies. I hope you have or had a wonderful birthday and have many, many more. Please stay well, be healthy, happy, and send in lots of love and positivity your way. Until the next time, you guys, take care.